Robert J. Kelly here. I'm laughing because as I went to go live, a weed leaf blower started up right outside my window. So anyway, welcome. This is a third in a three-part series. So far, you have engaged in accurate thinking about what fits and doesn't fit in your foundational four. And just to remember, your foundational four being your aptitudes or natural abilities, your temperament, your values, and your interests. So you've gone through that multi-day process of getting clarity on what works and doesn't work for you in your current situation and what it is that you're seeking. The next step, part two, was about initiating action, and not so much about the mechanics of it, but about the mindset and overcoming fear of failure and continuing to move ahead, and understanding that trial and error is the only way to go, or as I like to say, trial and failure, but to keep moving ahead and embrace failure as a natural part of trying. Remember, 300 hitters strike out 70% of the time. All right. So then the next step is networking. Now, a common, I'll say, misconception about networking is that it is a substitute for initiating action. Well, first of all, you had to initiate action just to start engaging in networking. But more critically, not just initiating action, but initiating contact, contacting other people. And what I want to do is set a frame for you for what networking is really all about. And the reason for networking is to find out what problems a given population of people have. What problems do they need solved? So if you aspire to work in a certain industry, what are the common problems in that industry? And it is by networking, and it was by informational interviews, which is part of networking, but it's just by contacting people that you gain that insight. And the next thing is to find out who it is that needs those problems solved. So you've now figured out what it is and who it is. And the third thing is to put it together with yourself and say, okay, here is the problem I can solve. And it's great if you just have one, because that'll give you a super focus. And sometimes people have a problem with choosing just one because of a fear that it will eliminate opportunities. And I would submit that just the opposite is true. If you will be crystal clear on the problem that you can solve for someone and make that a singular objective, that you will have a higher success rate by virtue of the focus that it will bring to your task. All right. So then the next thing, and this is about the mindset, and the mindset of, once you've got this problem solved, you need to reach out with people. And I love the Seth Godin, who's a marketing genius, but Seth Godin approach. And it is, I'm not sure if you need what I have, but I want you to know I'm here. I want you to know about what I have to offer. And so that's the approach to take, is to say, okay, I'm not sure, but I want to make sure you know. All right. So, a couple of just really very simple examples, though, of taking the problem approach versus the job title approach, or the, position approach. Speak in terms of the problem you're going to solve. I keep receivables current. So that means I'm good at collecting. I'm good at tracking down. I won't let your receivables age. I will stay on top of them. I open doors for new opportunities. I am someone who can contact others, and I can initiate, I'm good at initiating contact, or I'm good at seeing possibilities. I open doors for more revenue. The other side of the continuum, I get deals closed. I'm very detail oriented. I'm a follow-up person. I will get things done. I will get them to closure. I make sure we don't ship defective products. So I'm a good, it's not enough just say I'm a good inspector. It's the result. It's I'll make sure we don't ship defective products. I will solve this problem. Oh, you have a problem with defective products? I will solve that problem. If you're going for a receptionist job, it's your first job. What's your job? Your job is what's the problem that needs to be solved? Making people feel welcome. Receptionist job is really important, and it can set the entire tone for a customer experience. So to say it in terms of I make people feel welcome, that's what that is. All right. So the networking process and the gaining information and clarity of what the problem needs to be solved, who it is that has the problem, and now what your choice of this is the problem that I can solve. Now, the next part though is where when people think in terms of networking, like I said, at times it seems like it's a substitute for initiating contact, for calling someone who you don't know. And that's not always true. So one of the thing, if we approach networking is primarily an information gathering process. And then to be at peace with the fact that a lot of times the person from whom you're getting this information isn't going to be the person who can make an introduction. So, a lot of times people know of problems and they don't know the people. So they're not going to be a conduit making the introduction. Um, you know, Sometimes the person knows the people, but they don't have the credibility with those people to make the introduction. And it doesn't mean this is an incompetent person. They just don't have the credibility on this issue, or they're not thought of in that way. And so again, relieve the pressure of somebody, dialing you into an opportunity. The other part of it could be that person doesn't know you well enough to feel comfortable making an introduction or a recommendation. And then lastly, none of those things could be true, but there are people who, by virtue of their temperament and some of the other aspects of just personality, values, those kinds of things, they biologically can't make an introduction. So don't think of networking in terms of people dialing you into opportunities. Now, this is again focused on someone trying to make a job change, someone who's not necessarily always doing it. The long-term benefit of a network and of doing it effectively and maintaining it over your career is that you then do have opportunity that just comes your way by word of mouth and by good old-fashioned networking. But this talk is about, you need to make a change. You haven't necessarily been doing these things, and these are the things you need to do. So the takeaway from this is that you've got the clarity of what works, doesn't work. You're in touch with your understanding your foundational four and how they fit. You're clear on what problem needs to be solved. And now the networking process is a information gathering process. And the result is then for you to initiate contact with people. And, as I talked about in the previous video, it can be email, it can be phone most efficient, in person most effective, but it is now incumbent upon you to make direct contact with that person and say, hey, I don't know if you need what I have, but I want you to know about the problem that I can solve. All right. I'm Robert J. Conley. I hope that helped, and I will see you next time.